But let's start off by talking to Miguel in England. Miguel, what you got for us today?
Yes. Basically, I want to talk about Spinoza's God.
Sure. Okay, walk us through it.
I'm different, you know. I think God is Spinoza's God, and I'm not religious like Spinoza. Spinoza wasn't religious.
Yeah, can you define your terms a little bit? I think that Richard and I are largely familiar with the broad concept that you're describing, but I'd love to hear how you understand it. I'd love for our audience to be able to catch up. You believe in, quote, Spinoza's God. What is it that you believe? Why do you believe it?
Well, I think I don't agree with the word belief, because Spinoza was a philosopher, like me, you know, and he came up, we came up, I didn't read Spinoza, and we came up thinking rationally that God is everything that exists, past, present, and future. But that's not like saying God is the universe. You understand? Spinoza didn't write a book to explain God is the universe and the universe is God. Therefore, God is like atheism. You understand? Spinoza's God is like my God. God.
Okay, well, tell us about your God. You've said that God is everything, but not the universe. Help me understand what that really means.
What I'm saying is God is everything, but the universe was created by God. You understand? That's the difference. There is an intelligence behind the creation. There is an intelligence behind the reality. You understand? It's literally, you know, my concept of God is just literally. God is everything. You name it, everything that exists. You, me, everything that exists. However, it's not the universe in the sense that what I'm saying is Spinoza's God has been defamed, you know, has been put down as atheism. But Spinoza's God is not that.
I'm still a little unclear on what Spinoza's God is. I mean, whether we reference Spinoza or whether we reference pantheism or any of these different ideas, if God is everything, then what distinguishes God from nothing?
I mean, God, for Spinoza and for me, is everything. And the universe was created, was designed by God, you understand? Basically, God created self. God is an cause. God created self. God created self from self.
Yeah, I mean, I can work with that notion. From a certain point of view, I am creating myself at this very moment. I may not be intelligently, consciously directing that process, but I'm consuming resources. The cells within my body are converting those resources. I'm growing more hair. I'm growing a bigger belly. Like this notion of God being his own creation, fine, I'm willing to play around in that ballpark with you. I just don't understand what it means that God is everything. If you're saying that this table and this microphone and my glasses and me are all God, then what is the difference between me just saying this table and this microphone and my glasses are a table and microphone and glasses? How does adding the word God to those items change anything for anybody?
Changes absolutely everything. Absolutely everything.
Please, yeah, tell me about it.
Because according to atheists, when Spinoza's God means nothing, in the sense that when you die, you know, that's the end. You know, that's atheism in a sense. You know, there is no life after death because there is not an intelligence that created the universe.
I mean, I don't know that I can co-sign that as the atheist belief, but sure, we can go along with that. Again, though, I'm still trying to figure out what the difference is between this microphone with God and this microphone without God. If you want to say that when this microphone is crushed into bits and thrown into a landfill and then the microplastics get into the ocean or whatever, that it's no longer a microphone, it's died its microphone-ness, but it still exists as matter in a material world, okay, that makes sense to me. I'm still trying to figure out why the word God has anything to do with anything, or what any of that has to do with I guess, eternal life.
Okay, I'm gonna give you an analogy. I'm gonna explain it with an analogy. You are gonna understand this, okay? An analogy of life, you know. For an atheist, you know, the brain is kind of the television set, you know, and the mind is the image of the television set. You know, we are living. We are creating our own image on the television set. We are, and basically for an atheist, you know, when the television set, when the brain dies, the image is destroyed and everything ends. You know, there is no afterlife. The difference with God is that the television set and the image, yourself and everything else, has been created by a superior entity. What does it mean? That the universe was created with a purpose. You understand? Something. I'm not saying he, you know, do you understand? I'm not saying something. For me, it's time.
I suppose I still don't. If I'm playing along with the way that you're speaking about it, and I'm imagining consciousness as a television set that I watch, I think that there is some value to that notion. And, you know, we can talk about consciousness and, you know, the dualism and all of these sort of concepts of how we experience the world. But I recognize that TV, the broadcast signal, is a collection of all of these sensory inputs, all of these nerves that are all wiring together and producing a signal, if we want. And when I die, that signal will go off in a certain sense, but also all of the things that created that signal, all of the nerves, all of the neurochemicals, my brain, my physical body, all of these things will break down and be reconstituted into other things. How is that any different from the afterlife that you're describing? And again, how do I see God in this?
God is basically the creator of the universe, you know. So this is the million dollar question is how we been created? Because if we have been created, we can expect, you know, rationally eternity, you know, because the universe was created for with a purpose.
Okay, and that's a pretty big claim right there. I think that we can park ourselves right there. How do you know that the universe was created by a God that is also that universe? Or not that universe, but all of the things in it?
Basically, for Spinoza, the thing is, Spinoza and myself, we agree. And I didn't read Spinoza. This is the point.
Why don't you tell me what you believe, regardless of whether it agrees or disagrees with anybody else? Can you just tell me how you know that there is a intelligent creator God?
Because I'm going to explain it simple. From reality is created reality. That's a sequence. You understand? Reality creates reality. That's a sequence. And the sequence must have a first reality. That first reality is God, the reality that created the rest of reality. And God created the reality from self, because from nothing you cannot create anything. And basically what I'm saying is atheists are disrespecting the memory of Spinoza, because Spinoza wasn't an atheist.
I'm not particularly interested in what atheists allegedly said about Spinoza. I'm interested in having a conversation where I try to understand what you're saying. And when I boil that down a little bit, I seem to get to this notion that logically nothing can come from nothing, or something cannot come from nothing, and therefore there must be a God. Richard, I'd love for you to jump in here, because it seems like he has explained this to me very simply quite a number of times, and I'm still not quite getting it. Is there more to it than what I've maybe suggested here?
I don't know. I'm kind of stuck on a couple of things. I'd like you, Christy. I'd like to. I'm not particularly interested in Spinoza's view. I'm interested in the caller's view, because that's who we're talking to. I don't think your view, Miguel, and Spinoza's are exactly the same anyway, because God, according to Spinoza, was the substance comprising the universe. It wasn't separate from it, and that seems to be a difference between you and Spinoza. But I'm quite happy to leave Spinoza out of it, because we are talking to you, and you know, as much as I do agree with you on one thing, actually, which I think you know, we spoke last week and we disagreed quite heavily. So I'm going to put this out there just for the sake of you know, building bridges, as it were. The Spinoza, you know, there are a lot of atheists out there who do think that Spinoza's God, that Spinoza didn't believe in a God at all, that it was just kind of this use of language, and not, in fact, an actual deity. And I agree with you that that is wrong. It was kind of a pantheistic God that he believed in, but he did believe in God. It was just the reason he was so different to the other philosophers at the time, and I mean, he started a huge movement with his views, because he was one of the first to really rebel against this Christian triune God, and it got him into lots of trouble doing so. But he did believe in a God, and you know, I think we must acknowledge that. Too many people, I think, use him as kind of using God as a metaphor for something that it wasn't a God, and that's just not the case at all. But Spinoza aside, let's talk about your views on it. The thing I'm kind of stuck on, I'm stuck on two things. One is, how do we get to God created himself if God is kind of one with the universe? And the second one is, you know, how do we make the distinction between the universe and God? Because last week when we spoke about the singularity at the beginning of the universe, and I'm quite happy to say that the singularity is a necessary being that caused the universe for the sake of argument. How do we distinguish that natural process between a conscious God? Because there seems to be nothing in any scientific literature that presents the singularity that way and presents a universe that way as being any form of intelligence. And that's the bit I'm very interested in your opinion on.
All right, okay. I would like you just to ask you one question, because this is the key question. You know, atheists don't understand. If you could choose, you know, how is reality, okay? Would you rather the universe was created by an intelligence, or would you rather the universe was created by a singularity without any intelligence? This is the key question, you know, because it is better for you. It is better for you if the universe was created by an intelligence. You understand?
Why does it matter what we would rather, though? Like, why does it matter what I wish was true? Do I wish that there was an all-powerful, all-loving God? Part of me, yeah, if he's truly all-loving, like, yeah, I do kind of wish that, but my wishing hasn't made it so. Billions of people all over the earth for thousands of years wishing doesn't make it so. So what does it really matter ultimately if I wish that there was a loving creator God?
Because, well, I'm not talking about a loving creator God. I'm talking about
any God at all. Like, why does it matter that I wish that there was intelligent design, that I wish that there was a God? What does my wishing have to do with it? I wish that I had $1 million parked in savings, and I do not. So I don't really know why it would matter whether I would prefer it. It doesn't change reality.
Because, yeah, I know it doesn't change reality, but it changes the way you think about reality. If you think God is a good thing for you, then you may search for God, you understand? Because the problem with atheists is that they don't search for God. Why they don't search for God? Because they think that it doesn't exist. You understand? What's the point of searching for something you think it doesn't exist? And on top of that, you don't want it. You understand? Why would you?
I mean, you're telling me a lot about what I do and do not want, what I do and do not believe, and these things, what I am and am not willing to do. And I will tell you, I have searched for God. I have searched for God. I have read the Bible more times than most people I know who do believe in a God, but none of that really matters ultimately. There either is a God or there isn't. And I don't really see how what I would rather has to do with anything. And perhaps you didn't mean to use that word. Perhaps we've gotten distracted by just a piece of your argument, but I'm still trying to figure out what your argument is. And I would love for you to maybe take a final moment to sort of summarize for us what it is that you believe and most importantly, why you believe it.
The thing is, I'm not a believer, you know. I'm not religious. The thing is, I'm a philosopher. You know, and
you're a philosopher who believes in God.
No, I'm a philosopher that comes to the conclusion that the universe cannot be eternal, and reality is eternal. This is not a faith. This is philosophy. This is logic. You understand? All the arguments, absolutely all the theological arguments, the fine-tuning, the morality argument, absolutely all the arguments indicate that I am right. And also the Spinoza was right, that the universe, that God is absolutely everything, but with the difference that the universe was created. That's the difference, you know, by intelligence.
But that's not Spinoza's God, Miguel.
That's not a belief.
Again, Miguel, that's not Spinoza's God. That isn't Spinoza's God. The fine-tuning argument has no relevance to Spinoza's God because Spinoza's God was the universe. It didn't set the universe into motion and then walk off. Please don't tell me again what the atheists believe. You know, you've called I think it's 3 weeks in a row now, and each week you've told us what atheists believe. You're talking to two. Ask us. It's really, really simple. You could just ask us what we believe.
Turns out we don't have a codified creed of beliefs that we all hold to. We actually only have one thing philosophically in common, which is that we don't see evidence of a God. You suggest that you do see evidence of a God. We've spent a good 20-ish minutes trying to sort through what that evidence is. I'm not very clear on it, but I'd love to give you the final word before we jump onto another call.
I just want to say that I enjoyed the conversation and I gave my everything. It's all I can do. Is try to persuade people that death is not the end. It's simply that, you know, death is not the end because the universe was created. And then we have a purpose. There is the universe is conscious existence. Anyway, this is my final.
I appreciate you boiling it down in that way. And I would invite you to kind of ask yourself that question of how do you know those things, and to maybe check back with us after a month or so. Thank you so much. I enjoyed the call as well.
All right,
appreciate
thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Yes. Okay, great. Thanks.